All right, so let's talk about this super important concept of what's called total asset cost, or what I call TAC, T-A-C. You really can't do anything else in this chapter without understanding the TAC, or again, the total asset cost. And more importantly, if you need to, how to calculate the TAC. Everything in this chapter really revolves around that. So let's talk about what the TAC is. Total asset cost is the plant assets are recorded at cost when they're acquired. We remember that that's the measurement principle that says that we put it at cost. This is the cost of the plant asset, and it includes all normal and reasonable expenditures necessary to get the asset in place and ready for its intended purpose. So it's not only the invoice cost, it's much like what we talked about with the inventory. It's not only invoice cost, but there's other things that go in there. And you've got to be able to identify what is being used to calculate the TAC and what is not. So the best way I can tell you is let's do an example together. And I know it looks a little lengthy, but let's work through it. So my company purchased a new company van for $75,000. They received a discount for 3% for paying in cash. The van was delivered under the terms FOB shipping point. Yes, we got to go back to that. Hopefully you remember what that means. For $2,000, my company paid $4,500 for the van to be outfitted with a mechanical lift and paid $750 for a one-time training course for their employee to learn how to use the lift. Due to the purchase of the new van, my company's insurance went up by $150 per year. Calculate the TAC. So the best way I can tell you to do this is just look at it as a list. Let's go down the list and figure out what's happening here. So the first thing is we have this invoice cost, what it cost us. So the purchase of the new company van was $75,000. Naturally, that's our starting place. So I'm going to start there with invoice cost, $75,000. Okay, now let's go to the next one. The next part says that we received a 3% cash discount. Do we include that into the TAC? Yes, because that is part of me getting it to my facility and ready for its intended purpose. So 3% of $75,000, that's going to give me $2,250. All right, on to the next one. The van was delivered FOB shipping point for $2,000. Is shipping point my responsibility? Well, FOB shipping point is the buyer's responsibility. So yes, it is my responsibility. So I did pay that $2,000, and that's what's necessary to get it to my facility. So yes, I'm going to include that $2,000. So I'll say delivery cost $2,000. Next, we have the $4,500 to get the van outfitted with a mechanical lift. Do I include that? Yes, because that is getting it ready for its intended purpose. Naturally, I'm going to need this lift for something for my business, so I'm going to include that into the cost of the van. So I'm going to say customization cost is going to be $4,500. Now, what about this $750 for the one-time training course for my employee to learn how to use that lift? Am I going to include that? Yes, because again, that's getting that lift ready. So I would, again, use that training cost and put that into the cost of my total asset or my van. And the last one is this insurance. My insurance went up by $150 per year. Do I include that in my asset cost? No, because that's something I already had in place. I was still going to have insurance regardless. All this did is make it go up. And a good way to know that we're not going to use this is because this is an annual amount. We typically don't add annual amounts in here because we don't know what the actual cost is. We're actually going to expense this year over year. So we're not going to include this into the TAC. So if I add up these, that's going to give me a TAC, or total asset cost, of, come on now, there it is, $80,000. So that's what I'm actually going to put in my books for my van. So I'll say on whatever date that I bought this, I'm going to say equipment, which is the van, for $80,000, and I paid cash for it, so I'm going to credit cash for $80,000. That is how you calculate the total asset cost. This is a super important concept that you're going to need to know in order to do the next steps of this chapter. Appreciate it.